not really love her or love him. Because you are going to heaven and you let your loved one going to hell. If you love your partner, you have to preach the gospel, right? Because this is important. Another word for preaching the gospel is urgent. The gospel is not only important, but it is urgent. Why? There are some other reasons. The first is the relativity of time, the opportunity. We do not know when we will die. Some Christian told me, well, I'm sorry. The Holy Spirit moved me to witness to my friend, but I didn't go. And he passed away last week. We do not know when we will die or when our loved ones, our neighbor, our friends will die. So preaching the gospel is urgent. Second, Paul said about an open door. We can read that in 1 Corinthians 16 and 2 Corinthians 2 verse 12. Open door. And apostles said to the congregation that please do pray for me that the Lord will give us an open door. What is the meaning of open door? Open door is the opportunity, the time, the situation where in another country, another nation, they have opportunity to hear the gospel. Right now, there are some countries are close to the gospel. Yeah. It's not easy to preach the gospel as pastor, as evangelist to China, to Mongolia, to Tibet, also in some parts of Africa, Arabs, and also in Indonesia even. So, the open doors are getting close and close. So we will not have opportunity to preach the gospel. It is very limited. The third reason, we do not know when will Jesus come. Jesus himself said that no one know when Jesus, he will come again at the second time. But the gospel also mentioned that the gospel should be preached in the whole world and then he will come. But we don't know. In a sudden, Jesus will come. Slow, but sure that Jesus will come. And another thing is about the explosion of the population. Times journalists told us like this: 10 babies being born while we are reading one sentence. Well, how many sentences I have told you? I have said. The journalist time told us that 10 babies, yeah, were born while we are reading one sentence. That means that while we are preaching the gospel, some others are coming without Christ. So, the word they use for population is explosion. That means that very fast, the growth of the population. So, without help of the congregation, the believers, it seemed that impossible to reach the world with the gospel without mobilization of all of us. And then, the gospel is the power of God. Let's read Romans 1, verse 16. That is the last reason I want to tell you why we should preach the gospel. Romans 1, 16. There it is. I am not ashamed of the gospel, because it is the power of God for the salvation of everyone who believes, first for the Jew, then for the Gentile. For in the gospel is a righteousness from God is revealed, a righteousness that is by faith from first to last. Just as is written, the righteous will live by faith. The gospel is the power of God. That's where Paul will not be ashamed to confess the gospel and preach the gospel. What's the meaning of the power of God? In every nation, every heathen people even, when they preach the gospel and they receive the gospel, there will be a transformation. There are three main problems in the world that Billy Graham said. There are three main problems in the world that the people could not resolve. The first is the violence that fills the prison. The violence that fills the prison. The second problem is the sadness that fills the heart of man. And the third is the death that fills the cemetery. That's right. Three main problems that the world cannot resolve. The first is the violence that fills the prison. In Indonesia, we have problem. So many terrorists, so many bad people, killers, and many kind of violence, so that the prison is full already, and we have to build another prison, and also the same in some other country. But I saw the video clip in Cali, in South America, where there happened transformation, revivals. They don't need prison anymore because the people were converted to Christ. The second, the sadness that fills the heart. You may have music instrument, you may have a beautiful music sound system, hi-fi system, and so on, but you still can have a sadness in your heart. When I saw here in the state so many machines, just put a coin and then soft drink will come out. Yeah. Well, I think what is wonderful if there is a peaceful and joyful machine box. Put the coins and push the button and you will have joy. Yeah. Put the coin, push the button, and you will have peace. No. No. The sadness that fills the heart. We know recently Michael Jackson passed away. Also, we heard about the same thing with Elvis Presley.